part of the entire chain is really providing a big boost to this whole endeavor of tourism from India towards France. And flying the hotellerie flag of France in India is Jean-Michel Casse. Like I said, he's not only head for India, but also South Asia. And he's been flying that flag for a while now in bringing France to India in as much as he's bringing India to France. So your comments on this whole story of growth between India and France, Jean-Michel?
Well, my comments in India is we are born in France and made in India to start with, for whatever we do in India. I would like to speak about how to satisfy India customers in France indeed, but out of India at large. But before doing that, understanding what are the challenges and the vision that Mr. Ambassador has mentioned of 100 million tourists for France in 2020, and considering that India is already producing 800,000 tourists, and going back to what was said earlier on, Nevin was mentioning 62 million bearers of passport, 22 millions of Indians traveling out of India, then expecting in the next 2-3 years 50, 75 millions. The sky seems to be the limit in terms of numbers, but it is true. It is at the scale of India. Going back to what was explained this morning in Times of India, I believe, from a study from Google and Bain Consulting, they were saying that on top and above the increasing or the emerging middle class, then disposable incomes of those who can afford, 11% goes into travel. And 11% into travel, it's already what is a percentage in any other developed country. So this is saying how India is becoming mature in travel and the potential it gives us. But now I'll come back to satisfying customers, Indian customers out of India. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because, and I can say that because I belong here. I'm saying it's very difficult because we are being pampered so much, that much in India and in Asia by at large, that it's very difficult to satisfy India customers out of India. It is really a challenge, I can tell you. So we have taken an initiative ourselves, starting in France, starting in Paris, by developing a certification program for selected hotels that are already used by Indian. We have discussed that at large with Chital, and we have developed that with our hotels in Paris, whereby it is called Optimum Services for the Indian Market Certification, whereby we have a series of hotels. We have started with 7 Pullman hotels in Paris. Pullman hotel, why? It's because they are large inventory hotels. One is yet to open of 700 rooms very shortly in Paris, which is going to be a key destination for supporting the MICE out of India. And then Optimum Services certification consists in explaining to our hotel, there is a manual, there is a Bible, there are training modules, to explaining to our hotels what are the expectations of the Indian market, starting to, Mr. Ambassador mentioned, vegetarian, it's fine, but it's not only mentioning that it's vegetarian. Vegetarian during the day, you may go to any restaurant and find your way and be satisfied with vegetarian food. But breakfast is key. Breakfast, what does it take for an Indian customer going in our hotels? In the morning would find his idli, dosa, paratha, or whatever. This is what it takes, and this is what we have done. For the Indian customers going into this certified hotel with Optimum Services would have any Indian channels. We'll find any online newspapers, Indian newspapers, in any language that you're commonly using in India. So this is what that certification program is. So it is a heavy exercise. We have expanded this program now to 7 Pullman hotels in Paris, to another 4 Novotel, I believe. We are on test model for the time being, and then we will continue doing this. So this is what it takes to be able to explain to our associates, our partner in France, how much it's important to give that kind of dedication and recognition to the Indian market for a better recognition. I was also thinking, if you give me 2 minutes more, Ashwini, regarding what is important as well is the hotels that we are having in India and hotels in the Indian market is using in France, as an example. Accor, we are running globally at large, worldwide, 38 brands. Here we have 10 brands existing in India. And it's interesting to see which brands of ours, Indian customers traveling out of India to France, are using in France. If you are a MICE, then you use agency yourself, tour operators, ground operators, and then you would go to large inventories like Pullman, and this is why we have deployed these optimum services. But as well, if you look at our leading brand in India, that is an economy brand actually, that is Ibis, it's very interesting to see how much FIT, booking online directly, or going to Ibis in France, because they are familiar with the brand in India, therefore they feel somehow at home when they fly to France. And equally for the Novotel. So this is the two brands we have in India that are very popular, that are our first brands in India. Actually, when I say first brands that Indian customers are using in France, it's not exactly true, because there is a brand that is not used in India that the Indian market is using in France, particularly in Paris. That is a brand that you may not have heard about. It is called Adagio. Adagio because it is long stay, it is several rooms together, it is kind of apartments, service apartments with a kitchenette, and for large families traveling 1, 2, 3 generations together, purely on vacation, on holidays and on leisure, and booking mostly directly. This is a brand that became very popular in France. So this is what was my little contribution to trying to support this big objective we have to France.